What is up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving into something absolutely insane. I've put together a list of the 5 most terrible, shocking and controversial videos that have ever been uploaded to YouTube. Seriously, you are not going to believe some of the stuff people have posted on this platform. These aren't just bad videos, these are moments in internet history that caused massive outrage, got people cancelled, and even led to legal action. I'm talking about videos that completely broke the internet, and not in a good way. We're going to break down exactly what happened, why people were so angry, and what the consequences were for the creators behind them. This is a crazy ride through the darkest corners of YouTube history, and trust me, some of this is hard to watch. After you watch, I need you to go down to the comments and let me know which of these you think is the absolute worst. Did I miss any? Let's get right into it, this is gonna be crazy. Kicking off this list, we have to talk about a moment that sent shockwaves across the entire internet. This was a career-defining and almost career-ending mistake from one of the biggest creators on the planet at the time. Back in late 2017, he was on top of the world. He was pulling in millions of views on every single video, had massive brand deals, and was basically the king of daily vlogging. He decided to take a trip to Japan to create some content for his audience, which he marketed as this epic adventure. He and his friends went to Aokigahara Forest, a place at the base of Mount Fuji. This forest has a deeply tragic reputation in Japan and around the world. It's known as the suicide forest because of the tragically high number of people who go there to take their own lives. It's a place of immense sorrow and respect. So, he goes into this incredibly sensitive location with his cameras rolling, planning to camp overnight for a spooky video. He's joking around and treating it like just another content location. And then, it happened. His camera pans over, and he discovers the body of a man who had recently died by suicide. Instead of immediately turning off the cameras, showing respect, and alerting the authorities privately, he kept filming. He zoomed in on the body, blurred the face, but showed everything else. He then proceeded to stand there, just feet away from the deceased person, and started talking to the camera about mental health, but it felt so incredibly performative and disrespectful. He even made jokes in the vicinity of the body. The video was titled, "We found a dead body in the Japanese suicide forest," and he used a thumbnail of himself looking shocked. It was an unbelievable lapse in judgment. The video went up, and within hours, the internet absolutely exploded. The backlash was instant and it was brutal. People were horrified, viewers, other creators, celebrities, and news outlets from all over the world condemned him. The criticism was that he had exploited a person's tragic death for views. YouTube was slow to react at first, which only made people angrier. The video stayed up for hours, racking up millions of views before he himself took it down. In response to the massive public outcry, YouTube finally took action. They removed him from their Google Preferred program and paused his YouTube Originals projects. To this day, the Suicide Forest video is held up as a textbook example of what not to do as a creator. It's a permanent stain on his legacy and a dark chapter in YouTube's history that showed just how wrong things can go when the hunt for clicks goes way too far. If you thought the last one was bad, this next one is on a whole other level of disturbing. This isn't just about a creator making a terrible mistake. This is about a pattern of behavior that crossed the line into genuine child endangerment, all disguised as pranks. I'm talking about the channel DaddyOFive. On the surface, it looked like a typical family vlog channel. A mom, a dad, and their 5 kids. Their whole brand was built around the dad playing pranks on his children. But these weren't harmless pranks like putting a whoopee cushion on a chair. These were cruel, manipulative, and emotionally damaging. For example, in one infamous video, the parents spilled invisible ink on the carpet and then screamed at their youngest son, blaming him for ruining it. They yelled, swore, and berated him until he was sobbing hysterically, completely breaking down in tears. Only then did they reveal it was a prank. But the emotional distress was very, very real. This was their entire channel. Video after video showed the parents systematically bullying their kids, especially 2 of them. They would smash their kids' electronics, push them into bookshelves, and constantly scream at them for things they didn't do, all while filming their terrified and heartbroken reactions for millions of viewers to see. The kids were visibly distressed, anxious, and often crying. It was clear this wasn't fun for them, it was torment. The channel was actually pretty popular for a while, but a growing number of viewers started to notice that something was seriously wrong. People started compiling clips of the most abusive moments and the outrage began to build. prominent commentary YouTubers made videos about it, bringing the channel to the attention of millions and framing it not as pranks but as what it looked like: child abuse. The hashtag #SaveCodyAndEmma started trending. The public outcry was absolutely massive. Eventually, the situation escalated beyond just YouTube drama. The parents lost custody of 2 of their children, who were returned to their biological mother. This wasn't just about bad content anymore, it was a criminal investigation. The parents were eventually charged with child neglect and sentenced to 5 years of probation. The DaddyOFive channel is now a ghost town, a digital graveyard that serves as a chilling reminder of one of the most disgusting and upsetting controversies in the history of the platform. Alright, for our third video we're looking at a prank that was so twisted and cruel, it's hard to believe anyone thought it was a good idea. This one comes from a creator who was already a pretty controversial figure on YouTube. He was known for pushing the boundaries with his pranks, often involving harassment and making people uncomfortable. But in 2015, he crossed a line that no one could defend. The video was called "Killing Best Friend Prank." Here's the setup, and it's absolutely insane. They staged a fake kidnapping. 2 friends were driving when they were stopped. A person with a bag over their head pulled them out of the car, tied them to chairs in a dark, scary-looking location, and basically staged a hostage situation. One friend was absolutely terrified, crying and pleading for his and his friends' lives. The prank reached its horrifying climax when the masked killer pointed a gun at one friend and, in front of his best friend, pretended to shoot him in the head. They had a whole setup with fake blood and everything. The remaining friend watched his best friend get murdered right in front of him. He breaks down completely, screaming and sobbing uncontrollably. He genuinely believes his best friend has just been executed. After letting him suffer in pure terror and grief for what felt like an eternity, the dead friend gets up, revealing that it was all a prank. The victim is left there, still tied to a chair, hyperventilating and in complete emotional shock. The video was uploaded to YouTube, and the reaction was not what the creator expected. People weren't laughing, they were disgusted. The video was widely condemned as being emotionally abusive, traumatic, and just plain cruel. The backlash was immediate and overwhelming. Viewers, creators, and online commentators were furious. A petition was even started to have YouTube ban the creator from the platform, and it gathered hundreds of thousands of signatures. This wasn't just a few angry comments, this was a career-ending firestorm. The Killing Best Friend prank became the final nail in the coffin for his prankster persona. His reputation was completely and utterly destroyed, and his career took a nosedive from which it would never truly recover. Now we have to talk about the biggest YouTuber of all time, PewDiePie. He has had a few controversies over the years, but one moment in 2017 stands out as the one that had the most significant real-world consequences for him. It wasn't a prank or a vlog gone wrong, it was a joke that went way, way too far and brought the full force of the mainstream media down on him. This controversy centered around his use of anti-Semitic jokes and imagery in his videos. The whole thing blew up after a report from the Wall Street Journal. The most infamous example involved a website called Fiverr, where you can pay people $5 to do almost anything. To test the limits of the site, he paid 2 men in India to hold up a sign that read, "Death to all Jews." When the men actually did it and sent him the video, he included the clip in one of his own videos. He seemed genuinely shocked that they went through with it, but the context didn't matter to most people. The fact was, the biggest creator on the planet had just broadcasted a hateful, anti-Semitic message to his tens of millions of young, impressionable fans. The fallout was massive and immediate. Disney, who he had a multi-million-dollar deal with, immediately cut all ties with him. They stated that he had crossed the line and that the content was inappropriate. On top of losing the Disney deal, YouTube also took action. They canceled the 2nd season of his premium series and removed him from the Google Preferred Advertising program. Overnight, PewDiePie went from being the golden boy of YouTube to its most controversial figure. His name was being discussed on major news networks, and not in a good way. PewDiePie responded with a video where he apologized for the jokes. He explained his comedic process and argued that the media had taken his content out of context to intentionally portray him as a hateful person. Many of his fans stood by him, believing he was the victim of a media hit job. But for his critics, the apology didn't excuse the recklessness of the joke. It showed that even the king of YouTube wasn't immune to the consequences of his actions. While his channel continued to be successful, the incident forever changed his relationship with mainstream media and advertisers. We've reached the final video on this list, and honestly this one might be the most insidious and disturbing of them all, because it wasn't just one video, but an entire genre of content aimed directly at the most vulnerable audience, young children. I'm talking about the phenomenon that became known as Elsagate. This was a dark, twisted, and truly bizarre trend that quietly took over parts of YouTube Kids and the main platform. On the surface, these videos looked like normal kids' content. They used popular characters that children love, like Elsa from Frozen, Spider-Man, Mickey Mouse, and Peppa Pig. They were often brightly colored, had upbeat nursery rhyme music, and were algorithmically generated to attract clicks from toddlers and young kids who were just tapping on familiar-looking thumbnails. But the content of the videos was anything but child-friendly. They were horrifying. Once you started watching, you'd see these beloved characters engaging in bizarre, violent, and often highly inappropriate activities. We're talking about characters injecting each other with needles, drinking bleach, or getting their teeth violently pulled out by scary dentists. The videos were filled with themes of toilet humor, violence, sexual situations, and just plain weird, nightmarish scenarios that would be deeply unsettling for any child to watch. The scariest part was how these videos were made. They were often mass-produced by anonymous content farms, using simple animation and keyword-stuffing titles to game YouTube's algorithm. Because kids would watch one, the algorithm would recommend another and another, trapping them in a horrifying feedback loop of disturbing content. Parents who thought their children were safely watching cartoons were often completely unaware. The alarm was first raised by parents on forums and then amplified by creators and journalists who started investigating. Writer James Bridle wrote a hugely influential article titled, "Something is Wrong on the Internet," which exposed the entire dark ecosystem. The public was absolutely horrified to learn that this predatory content was being algorithmically fed to their children. The scandal put immense pressure on YouTube to get its act together. This wasn't just a creator making a bad choice. This was a systemic failure of the platform's algorithm and moderation policies. In response to the massive public backlash, YouTube finally took drastic action. They announced a major crackdown, promising to age-restrict this type of content and terminate hundreds of thousands of videos and thousands of channels that were part of the network. They also refined their algorithms to better identify and flag this kind of disturbing content, and made it so only human-curated content could be on the YouTube Kids app. The scandal was a terrifying wake-up call for parents and for YouTube. It exposed a dark underbelly of the internet where algorithms could be exploited to traumatize children for profit. It fundamentally changed how YouTube approaches children's content, and forced a much-needed and still ongoing conversation about digital safety for the youngest generation of internet users. It remains one of the most chilling and widespread controversies in the platform's history. And that's the list. 5 of the absolute worst, most controversial videos to ever be uploaded to this platform. From exploiting tragedy to endangering children and faking a murder, it's a crazy reminder of how powerful this platform is, for both good and bad. Every single one of these videos caused a massive firestorm and forced YouTube to change its rules. It really makes you think about the responsibility creators have. Let me know in the comments which one you think was the absolute worst. I seriously want to know your opinion. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end. If you found this interesting or just as insane as I did, do me a huge favor and smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and maybe share this video with a friend who needs to see how crazy YouTube can get. Your support means the world and helps me make more videos just like this one. Also, this is a huge reminder to always be careful about what you're watching online, and especially what you let your younger siblings or kids watch. Again, thank you all for being here. We have an even bigger video coming next week. I've been working on it for months and you are not going to want to miss it. It's a secret for now, but trust me, it's going to be epic. Alright, that's all from me. I'll see you in the next one.